I'm Juliet Namkasa, Country Director, International Aid Services Uganda. Here at International Aid Services, we observe all the SOPs for COVID-19. Washing hands with soap or with a sanitizer, wearing the mask, and also social distancing. However, because I'm here alone, and also for the need for us to be able to understand ourselves very well, allow me remove the mask and share with you very well. I'm here this evening to share with you the journey of International Aid Services Uganda. International Aid Services was born in 1989, and at that time it was called International Aid Sweden. It was started by missionaries who were in Sudan then. Seeing the civil unrest, they responded to the need then and mobilized relief, responded to the need, but also that became part of their life, and that grew into a bigger organization. It was founded by Leif Zetterland, and in 1994, IAS Uganda was formed. And we've had different leaders. The one whom I took over from is Mr. Julius Bitamazire, who is still with IAS. The journey of IAS has been interesting, founded and guided by the mission, which is saving lives, promote self-reliance and dignity through human transformation going beyond relief and development. And our vision is a godly, transformed society. Our major stay, or the key area of intervention, is water, hygiene, and sanitation. Normally, we respond to emergencies. We drill boreholes and encourage communities to have sanitation facilities. It is then that we introduce other responses. Today, we handle water, hygiene, and sanitation, health, livelihoods, and education. COVID-19 has been an interesting period for us during our interventions. It has been challenging in the districts where we work, in Padey, Abim, Agago, Kyangwali, and Rhinocam. In Padey, for example, one of the challenges that we have faced is that we work with the girl child, but we also work in schools. We've not been able to implement our activities. But worse still, these girls who are at home, we have many of them who have been impregnated. The numbers are staggering. The districts are talking about 800 to 1,000. Those are really very, very many. But we have been there. We have, through our community-based facilitators, those are religious leaders, opinion leaders, cultural leaders, being able to reach out to the community members, encouraging them to protect the girl child, but also to stop that practice of gender-based violence. I must say that during COVID-19, the bars were closed. However, households would still sell alcohol because it is very common. And these men, intoxicated, would just go back home and batter their wives. It was reported that one of the LC chairmen actually killed his wife under the influence of alcohol. So those have been big, big challenges that we have dealt with and we continue to deal with. We celebrate the women in Uganda, and I would like to appreciate the government of Uganda that has done its best to empower the women. Without empowering them, the country that we have today would not be where we are. In the past, it would not have been heard of for a woman to be a Speaker of Parliament. We had Dr. Specioza Wandera Kazibwe, Vice President of the country of Uganda. We have so many members of Parliament who are women. Today, women are holding positions of responsibility. So there are great strides that have been made, and that we celebrate the country for all the efforts. Sitting in this office today is also a sign of the many strides that we have made. I am a woman educated here in Uganda, and that is the effort of our government. However, today, when I think about the girl child, yes, there are efforts that are being made. We have so many empowerment programs geared towards the girl child. However, culture continues to frustrate so many of the efforts that have been embarked on by the government. We are having many girls who are still getting married, being pulled out of school to support their parents. That continues to haunt our country, Uganda. And unless we address that, the mothers of tomorrow will not be what they are supposed to be. We are looking at a mother of quality who will help the child and have a child nurtured in the way that Uganda will be or wants to be. We are looking at Agenda 2040, and a woman has an important part to play, and it's the girl child who will take us there. Allow me to talk about the aims and objectives of international aid services. Now, all those are embedded in our vision, which is a godly transformed society, and our mission to save lives, promote self-reliance and dignity through human transformation, going beyond relief and development. Our objectives inform the kind of activities that we do. Here we are. Our major activities, we do water, hygiene, and sanitation because we exist to increase water coverage in the country, but also to promote proper hygiene and sanitation practices. We also look at education in its totality. And so we look at skills development, but also empowering the teachers, parents, and the children to have such a strong relationship, because we believe that the factors that affect the performance of a child are not just embedded in the curriculum, but the environment that surrounds them. We do menstrual hygiene management to promote the well-being of the girl child, but also the women. We do skills training for those, because in our communities where we work, there are many girls and boys who have not gone to school, and so they need skills development. We also look at livelihoods. We encourage village savings and loan associations. The other thing that we do, we advocate for enactment of bills and laws for alcohol control. Alcohol abuse is a major problem here in Uganda. I must say that during these years, the journey has been very, very interesting. We have made great strides and we have made great achievements. When you go to Rhino Camp, we have put a mark there. We have drilled a number of boreholes and also had them motorized. We have set up what we call bonga groups, and that is for livelihood enhancement for the young men and the young women. We have promoted hygiene, menstrual hygiene management. We have trained in sanitary towel making. They are reusable because not everyone is able to go for the disposable ones, though that's what would be the best. The other one we have done is we have empowered community-based structures to take lead in their development processes. We have, like recently I was in Pade, where we handed over 165 bicycles to community-based facilitators. These are the ones who run around within the communities, mobilizing their fellow community members for development in their areas. There are challenges that we have faced. One of the biggest challenges, and for me, I feel that if we win that battle, I call it a battle, we will make great strides, it is the challenge of the mindset. Our communities have such a prohibitive culture mindset. I'm in Pade, Abim, and Agago. The culture is so strong. With low levels of education, I'm telling you, the challenge is really huge. So we have to go beyond culture. But you don't just touch people's culture. You must get their permission to touch it. And that's part of what we do. We sensitize them and help them to understand some of those limiting factors that are in their culture. Now, when COVID-19 comes in and we have some cultural issues, then problems get worse. During this COVID-19 period, we have seen the girl child affected simply because of culture. They believe in marrying them early. Even when we are having the government campaigning for universal primary education, universal secondary education, still the girl child suffers a lot. And we have seen that in this COVID-19. Over 800 girls in Pade alone have been impregnated. Now, the other problem that we've had is that washing hands continues to be a big challenge. And you'll find that households have water points, but they say that is for COVID-19. And a number of those water points do not actually even have soap. So that continues to affect people. The incomes have been affected. Some of the groups that we had mobilized before, have somehow been disbanded because nobody has been there to follow them up. But we believe that now that the government has eased everything, we are back to our communities and we are working very well. We believe for the very best. I talked briefly about the girl child, but allow me go back and talk about the challenges of the women and the girl child in general. You know that the girl child transitions from being a child to a woman. I talked about culture. Even the women themselves believe in some of those cultural practices which hold them into slavery and captivity, if I may say so. Look at female genital mutilation. Women themselves promote that. We went to Abim and we were talking about women should not be battered. And the mothers were saying, well, that is part of what a woman should expect. Some of these mothers are the ones who are allowing their children to be married off. So that continues to be a big challenge. But also that belief in marriage. Now, women, some of them will give in everything and anything to be married. And so even as the government campaigns for equality, gender-based violence, part of the problem is that we women are pulling ourselves behind. The girl child has suffered being lack of adequate education. They are the ones who are pulled out of school when there is a need at home. For example, if somebody falls sick, the girl child is pulled out. Now, when I think about the solution, and for me that is where I would like to differ from people who are just campaigning for the woman, woman, woman. In our country, Uganda, culture is still very strong wherever you go. For example, when the girl child is getting married, it is the men who sit and decide, despite the empowerment of the woman. In homes, the men pull the strokes even if the women are the ones who are bringing in a lot of money. So for us to empower the woman without looking at the man who has power culturally to decide the first fate of the girl child and the woman, we are shooting ourselves in the feet. women being able to do what men can do. The problem is that we have addressed part of the problem, allow me to say, from the branches. We need to address it right from the grassroots. Strength, power, authority comes from the culture. It is culture that has defined so many things. So when a man comes in a home and he is supposed to provide everything, he's supposed to have the woman actually bowing to him, because in the past, it is him who had everything. And today the woman is saying, no, my husband, let us sit on the table and talk. The men feel that their ego has been threatened, and because they are physically superior, then gender-based violence sets in. But also the other problem that I saw in some of the communities where we are working is that we have emphasized girl-child empowerment. I'm telling you, the boys have been left behind, and that is part of the problem they raised when I was there. I was talking to this Okot, whom we have supported now. He's a carpenter. Okot could not look me in the eyes. I saw him looking into heavens. He looked east and west. He could not look at me. Just imagine that boy turning into a man tomorrow, and he is the one to marry your daughter. He has no life skills at all. He is disempowered in every sense of the word. When his ego is threatened, what he will do to protect his space, he's going to batter the woman. So if we are going to secure all the progress that we have made, the dividends of the campaigns for empowering the girl child, we need to balance it and bring the boy child on board. Otherwise, we are losing it. So for us who are doing programs, can we be balanced? Can we bring the boy child on board? Can we sit together with the men and the women and talk? Because that's how it is. That's how God made it. It is about complementing each other. I know that the problem why we are making a lot of noise for women empowerment is because the men abused their headship, and they thought that headship means abusing and exploiting women. But if we do it right, men and women are supposed to complement each other. And when they do that, then there is life at home, there is celebration. Then we are able to raise our children in such a healthy environment. They grow up when they are physically, spiritually, and morally okay. There, we are building a strong nation, and we are sure that Agenda 2030 is ours, and we can secure the country of Uganda, celebrating it as the Pearl of Africa. When the war ended, it left us with a big challenge, because there are so many girls who had been abducted. Many of them were coming back. Some of them had dropped out in primary 4, primary 6, secondary. They needed a future. So what we did, we partnered with Christian Counseling Fellowship, and those ones had established a school. So International Aid Services kept on giving them funds to have these girls attain education. That was formal education. Then in 2016, we transitioned from formal education to vocational training. We give them soft skills. Then we also do skilling, while empowering them at the same time with musical equipment for them to be able to go out to the communities and talk about the very issues that affect them. And that has worked very well. A number of those girls are mothers. Some of them do not even know the fathers of their children. So they have come in, and now through the livelihoods we have established, they are able to support their own children, but also support their own parents. And along with those, we have also brought in young men, as I told you, because all of them have suffered massively. When we went to Padé, we saw that women were the ones who were, allow me to say, beasts of burden. They would go to the farms and plow while the men were drinking alcohol. So what we did was to get these women and talk about alcohol harm. And there we introduced the bittersweet of alcohol, because many of them were saying through alcohol they have a livelihood. But we're also saying that through dealing in alcohol, you are being abused. So when we sat and we looked at the pros and cons of dealing in alcohol, we saw that the problems associated with alcohol abuse outweighed all the gains. So what we did, we set them in groups and we looked at livelihood diversification. So we gave them startup packages, and with those they went into piggery, they went into poultry. A number of them are selling produce, and that has worked very well. But the other thing we have done is to train them also to be able to stand and be their own voices. In 2016, we were very glad when we went to Lira Paro, and some of the leaders were saying, now I'm an LC1 leader because we have empowered them. And once they are on those councils, then they are able to be their own voice. Service delivery is one of those interesting subjects that we talk about. I would like to begin by appreciating government for all the efforts that they have made to ensure that there are health centers that have been established in a number of these areas, that there are drugs, that they're equipped with drugs in terms of schools, by creating an enabling environment for the NGOs to operate. NGOs that are into the education sector have been there, and many schools have been constructed. When you go to the refugee setting, so many schools, and good schools at that, have been established, and for that we are very grateful. However, the gaps are still huge. You come to Padé district and one stream has over 100 children. Then you look at the teachers. A school has over 900 pupils and it has less than 20 teachers. Children are crowded in these schools. We have serious problems regarding that. The government has done its best to work on the roads, but when it comes to feeder roads, those continue to be a challenge. And this is where a number of our farmers are. They grow their food and they're supposed to bring the food to the markets. But with poor roads, they end up either selling their produce very cheaply, or they will get middlemen who can afford to reach them, and they sell their produce very, very cheaply. Service delivery in part has been affected by corruption. You ask people, we have now empowered our community members to go out and talk to their leaders and look at what has been budgeted and what has been allocated. And when they talk to them, you find that either something has been allocated, but the money is not there, the service has not been delivered, or what has been delivered is very, very substandard, and still our communities have a problem that they cannot fully challenge the leaders, again because of our culture. So we have a problem there. There is improvement, we appreciate the great strides, but the gaps are still huge. And I'd like to appreciate the government for allowing non-government organizations to work. And because we exist to complement the efforts of the government, my prayer and cry is this, that we have that the government gives us an enabling environment for NGOs to do far much more than what we are doing right now. But also in terms of budgetary allocation, to look at some of these critical needs and allocate the funds that are needed to promote development in our country. I would like to say this, that what we have done as International Aid Services Uganda would not have been possible if we didn't have partners. Swedish Mission Council has been with us since 2009, supporting our work in Pade and Agago, but also in Rhino Camp and Kyangwali. Lekamishone, that one has funded us since 2008, and I would like to say that they would like to strengthen our partnership with them, and they have allowed us to merge with them, and this ensures that at least we have some steady flow of finances. Danish Emergency Relief Fund, those ones supported our efforts in Kyangwali and Rhino Camp. We have Novo Nordic Fonden. They have also done a lot of work supporting our effort. And we believe that as more doors are open, we will continue to serve our community. I would like to appreciate the government for allowing us to partner with them in every way we possibly can. And I would like to appreciate our IS staff for their commitment and the great work they have done. And with this, I pray that God blesses us as we work towards a prosperous Uganda that we will all desire and enjoy ourselves to live in. I say all this for God and my country.